This week on A Drier Dose of Disney, we're talking about getting park tickets, making park reservations, and securing your dining reservations.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Drier Dose of Disney. My name is Jared Dreyer. I'm your host. And today we've got a fun topic to be talking to you about: getting your park tickets secured, reserved, ready to go so that you're able to go to the parks on the day you want, as well as how to get dining reservations. So that way you can try all the great food out there, which is what we love, and all the different restaurants on your vacation to Disney. Today we're going to be covering both the Universal and the Disney parks. Keep in mind, a lot of what we talk about today is going to be the same for Disney. So whether you're in Orlando or you're going to Anaheim, the experience is going to be relatively the same. Likewise with Universal, whether you're going to Universal Orlando or you're going to Hollywood, you'll be able to do the exact same kind of things that we're talking about today. So I'm going to talk about them in general, as well as talking about specifically annual passes in Florida. Of course, annual passes in Anaheim or Hollywood may be a little bit different, but for the most part, everybody's looking at Orlando. Most people are planning on going to Orlando, so I'm going to spend the majority of my time focused there. I've got screens up everywhere. This is a different format for us. We're going to be up on the iPhone looking at the apps. We're going to be looking online at a couple different things. Don't mind if you see me looking around. I'm trying to keep all my notes together and make sure that I cover all the important points for us today. So first, though, some housekeeping, and I'm going to hop on over here and minimize my video so that you guys can see this is our Patreon site. Our podcast is free, but we would love for some of you to subscribe and support us here at A Drier Dose of Disney. We do have 3 tiers that are available to you. With these tiers, all 3, you're actually going to get instant access to our most coveted episodes, which there are 2 out there that we will be loading within the next week. The buttered beer recipe, which honestly, the recipe we've put together is phenomenal and so much better than what you're going to get at the park. And number 2 is our How to Go to Disney for Free episode. I've had a ton of questions in my career about how to do that. How exactly do you go to Disney for free? And it's not, keep in mind, it's not perfectly free, but it's very close. You're only paying a little bit here and there for some subscription stuff like that. But outside of that, all of your costs will be covered, your major ones, and you'll be able to go to the parks with your family and enjoy yourselves out there for a vacation. That's not going to cost you very much money. So we've got those that will be posted out here for our subscribers. And then always, if you don't want to subscribe, but if there's a tip or trick that really helped you out or saved you some money, you are able to go to the page and make a quick donation to us just to help keep us going. So we definitely thank our supporters there. Since we always believe that this podcast should be free for everyone, those episodes, those 2 in particular, the Butterbeer and the How to Go to Disney for Free episode, will be released to the general public eventually. So probably sometime in 2023, we will be looking at getting those out onto our general feed as we replace that content for our subscribers and get them some access to some new content that they didn't have before. Keep an eye out there for that. But definitely, we want to make sure that we're giving you good quality content that you can use and is going to help you save some money. So to start off today's talk about tickets and restaurant reservations, I do want to give you guys a little bit of my story and a little bit of our history. We recently purchased a property down in Orlando. So it's a condo that we've got down there. We've been down there a handful of times. We love it. It's one of our favorite places to go. And because of that, we did get annual passes. We got annual passes for both Universal and Disney. And in doing so, for Disney in particular, it was very difficult to do. To get the better price, and not only to get the better price, but to even get the annual pass, you have to be a Florida resident and you have to prove residency. And we've actually got split residency because we're from Colorado, and all of our paperwork, documents, driver's licenses, everything is Colorado. So we went down to their ticketing office there at Disney Springs and talked to the people down there and showed them our closing paperwork, our title work, our new declaration page from our insurance document for that condo. And it took a lot of time for them to approve us as Florida residents to get the annual pass and to get that price. Since then, because the only pass that's available today is the Pixie Pass, which we'll talk about in just a moment, we went over 4th of July weekend with some family, and in doing so, we had to get additional tickets because the Pixie Pass doesn't work around the 4th of July holiday. We went to go buy some additional ones, but of course, again, Florida resident, you get a little bit of a discount. And I tried to buy those online. Of course, it wouldn't let me, despite the fact that I already have proven that and shown that. And I actually had to call in and talk to a cast member, and she was able to walk me through it and help me out. But she said, by the way, you're going to have to come prove your residency again. And I explained to her what a headache it was the first time. And she said, no, I totally understand it, but you have to do that every single time. And I asked her, hey, there's got to be a better way. And unfortunately, at this point in time for Disney, there isn't. So if you're a Florida resident, just know that dealing with tickets and proving your residency can be a challenge. Of course, if you already have a state driver's license, that's going to make it a lot easier because that's all that you really need to see. But for anyone who lives out of state, if you've got a place down there and you own it, expect to jump through some hoops. So plan a little extra time, a little extra effort to get those tickets taken care of. That's what we had to do. But the great thing is there's that ticket center down at Disney Springs. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a moment. So with that, let's dive right into our topic, getting tickets at Disney. So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to show you exactly what the different ticket options are. And you have really 3 different options. You've got a 1-day, 1 park per day type ticket. Those start at about $109. The pricing at Disney is variable, which means depending on what day of the year you go, you're going to pay a different price for that day. So when you go through, and I'll show you in just a moment, and you go to pick your park passes, you do have to select what dates and date ranges you're going in, and you're actually going to reserve on the spot while you're getting those tickets picked out. So you can do 1 park per day. That is typically what we do, and I'll explain that here in just a moment. But you do have the option of Park Hopper. So Park Hopper is something that I recommend if you are going for a short amount of time to Orlando, or if you're in Anaheim and you're only going for 1 day. If you're 2 or more, I tell you, just go to the 1 park per day. There's plenty to do. You're going to wipe out your whole day doing that. You don't need to pay the extra money to do the park hopping. In Florida, if you're only going to do 2 days and you want to try to get to all 4 parks, then the park hopping at that point is probably worth it. And again, you're only paying that $65 once, but that does get obviously broken out across your days into a final price. Then there's the Park Hopper Plus option that gives you not just the parks that you can hop to, but you can also go to the water parks. So if that's something that's on your bucket list, you want to go out there and try out the water parks, then by all means, you can go with that 3rd ticket option there. So those are the general ones. I'm also going to pull up here our annual passes that are going on out there right now. Now, when you take a look at these annual passes, I can tell you right now that the only ones that are available are the Pixie Dust Pass here for $3.99, and that is for Florida residents only, and the Sorcerer's Pass for DVC members only. So even Florida residents can't get the Sorcerer's Pass. So you have to be either a Florida resident or a DVC member to get an annual pass at this point in time. There's been a lot of talk and speculation that they may open that up later in 2022 and allow people to start purchasing them. Again, it'll probably start with Florida residents. If you are out of state, the only option that you have is this Incredipass, which is $1,300. But the nice thing about that one is it has no blackout dates. You're able to go anytime that you want throughout the year. And all of both Disney and Universal allow you to do these payment plans where you can put money down and you're going to pay for 12 months at 0% with about $19 to $99 per month payment. If you add up all the people in your family, that could be a lot. If you've got a 4-person family, that could be an extra $400 a month if you break it out, with $800 down to get this Incredipass versus just over $5,000 to buy 4 of those annual passes. For us, because it was the only one available, we did get the Pixie Dust Pass. We can only use that Monday through Friday. Your holidays are blocked out. Like I said earlier, 4th of July area was blocked out. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all those times are all blocked out. But if you're out there and you live out there, you can pop in and out on weekdays as much as you want. And we actually did that a few times and definitely got our money's worth and definitely went more than 4 times. As you can see, that pass is worth about $400. So we definitely got our money's worth, and we're going back in the fall. So we are excited about that. What I've heard, rumor, and again, disclaimer, this is a rumor, is that they are going to keep annual passes actually this way, where you can only get, Florida residents can only get a Pixie Dust pass, and the Sorcerer's Pass can be purchased by the DVC members. And what will happen is then on your renewal date, so if you fast forward to the next year when you go to renew, you are then able to upgrade into these other passes. So what I've heard from this rumor is it's blackout type period where they want you to go into the basic one, and then after a year you can upgrade. This is very similar to getting season tickets for sporting events and things like that, where you go to the nosebleeds, you get the bad ones, and then as time goes on, you can graduate into better seats. They do not want to make this open and available to everybody, is what I'm hearing. Now, again, the other rumor I heard is they're going to open it up in the fall. I don't know which way they're going to go, and it could be neither. So it's all speculation at this point. A couple things to point out is how long you can reserve. The Pixie Dust Pass, our downside is we can only reserve up to 3 days, and your immediate future is usually pretty booked up. So keep that in mind if you're going to do all 4 days and hit 4 parks in a row. You can get your 3 reservations, but that 4th one's going to be a tough one to get. And then the other passes can do 4 and 5 days, which is very nice if you're going to go to the parks for an extended time. You can also do add-ons. Quick recommendation here on the photo pass: only add it to 1 pass. You don't need it for everyone. So in our family, my wife has it added onto her pass. So that way, anytime we want to take pictures or get the ride pictures, stuff like that, she can just scan her phone and scan her stuff, and she gets all that downloaded immediately into her app, and she can see all those, versus paying for it for multiple people. 1 person's all you need. Everybody can have it at that point, and you do get access to those photos. So that's how the Disney Annual Pass program works and how the cost is. Now, how to get them. You can see over here, I brought up my phone, and I'm going to relaunch this. I am going to give you a couple tips here, and it's very important, these tips, because they're going to really help you out as you go through your entire vacation down there. So the first thing you want to do is you want to download this application. This is the app on the iPhone for the My Disney experience. It's the Disney World version. There are 2 versions, so please keep that in mind. You do have a Disneyland and a Disney World version, so you want the Disney World. Right now, because it's 2022, we're in the 50th celebration right now, so it's got a big 50 on the front, which makes it easy to identify, but you should be able to figure that out pretty easily. Once you download it, you're going to create an account if you haven't already. If you've got the My Disney Experience app, if you've got Disney Plus or ESPN or those other things that are all tied together now, you should be able to use that same login and get in. So you want to make sure that you can go in and set yourself up. Now, if you've got kids under the age of 13, and this is a really important thing to note here, if your kids are under the age of 13, they are not allowed to set up their own app. They can't log in. They can't get their own account. They can't do anything. So you're going to build them into your setup here by going into the hamburger menu, and you're going to see my profile, and you can add people to your group here. So friends and family list up there at the top. You can add membership and passes. You can go through and add your other people that are under the age of 13. What I recommend is everyone else who's over the age of 13, what you want them to do is go in and set up their own account. Okay. So they're going to log in through their phones. They're going to use their email. They're going to set up their own account. And then when they go in here, you can go down to the bottom here in that hamburger menu, and you can click show my linking code. And this expires very quickly, so you want to make sure you're ready to do it. But when you show it, you're going to get your linking code. And I don't mind showing mine because, like I said, it expires so quickly, you're not going to be able to link to me. But when you show it, there it is. There's a manual code. You can enter a code manually, and they can scan it, and they're going to be linked to you and you to them. Okay. So what you want to do first is you want to get everybody in your group set up. I'm not going to show you my friends and family list because I've got a ton of friends and family over there, and I'm not sure that they want their names all out there. But once you get it all set up, that's where they'll be, is in that friends and family list up there on the top. That's very important because that's also how you're going to join virtual queues and doing the lightning lane. So we'll talk about that in another episode, but you want everybody in your party linked into your app to make that process a lot easier and a lot smoother. But second, what I recommend is buy your pass through the app. I think it's easier. It's more straightforward. That's where you'll click that plus on the bottom, and you're going to see that all pop up, and you're going to click buy tickets and passes. And of course, you're going to have the same options here. Now, again, it shows annual passes. I tried it just a few minutes ago just to see, hey, can I upgrade to the Incredipass? Because that's what we would like to do. And I couldn't. It wouldn't let me do it. It says that that's not available, and it takes you back to their website. But if you're just doing general theme park tickets, you can do that through the app. And you're going to click there, and it's going to ask you what you want to do here. And it says you want to check your availability before purchasing. I recommend that all the time. Now, of course, unless you're going in the next couple of weeks or you're going at a major holiday like Christmas, you're probably, but you can click view calendar. It'll take you off site. It'll let you look at the calendars there and decide if you're able to get that booked. But let's say that we're going to do one park per day ticket. You're going to click that in the number of days. So say 4. And then it's going to ask, when do you want the first day to be? And this is real important because, yes, you can totally change your park reservations. So let's say you reserve for sometime in October, which is when we're going, and we're 2 months out. This is when I think I'm going. I may want to change something. You can totally change it. The issue is going to be is your start date, that little window that you're going to create. And you usually get calendar, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to click one for us just so you can see. It's going to give you a window. And if you look at these, it tells you what the pricing is per day. So let's say I'm going October 23rd that week, and I'm going to start my first day. It gives me a 7-day window there that I can use those 4 tickets. And you can see the reason that's important is the cost that I'm paying per ticket. So right now that would be $127 per ticket. And you can see if I did the week of the 2nd, some of those days are $129. So that's going to bump my price a little bit. So that's why it's important for you to know when you're going to go, to pick it. Again, once you pick it, you can change your reservations within that 7-day window as much as you need to. But you're going to go ahead and pick it, and then it's going to let you go through and start assigning out those parks. Now, since I've got an annual pass and I don't need to do that, I'm going to stop at this point. You can see how that works for the most part. You're just going to keep moving forward, and then you're going to assign tickets to people. That's why you want them in your app. So you can assign, mom gets her tickets, dad gets his tickets, kid gets theirs, and so on and so forth. That's how you're going to set all those tickets up. Let's say you have tickets and you have not done a reservation yet. Okay. So you've got your tickets purchased, but you've not reserved anything. You can go in here and then you can go to make a park reservation. And it's going to ask you, do you have theme park tickets or do you have annual passes? Because there are different calendars for the two. And then you can look at their current availability, and it's actually real simple. Now I'll click into the annual pass one because that's what I've got, and it's going to take me onto the website here. In doing that, I've already got mine already done for October, so it's not going to let me reserve anymore. So actually, I'm going to X out of this, go back into the app here. But that's where you're going to be able to go in and pick your parks, pick your days. It's very straightforward. When you look at the calendar, and I will see if I can't pull up a calendar here. That is the blackout for the annual passes. Here we go. This is what the calendar is going to look like when you see it. You can see, for example, on today, you can tell that I'm doing this on Tuesday, August 16th. Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios is blocked. They're full. Animal Kingdom and Epcot are both available. So if I wanted to make a reservation for today there, I could. But if you go forward a little bit, September, wide open. Every single day is wide open. October, I looked at this a few minutes ago. This was a little strange. The 12th. Some parks are available. And the one, if you click on that one, the one that's not available is Magic Kingdom. And the reason Magic Kingdom's not available is that's about the same time that Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party starts. So I would imagine the annual pass holders have already started booking that one up, or other people that are going to be in the area then. You can see how that gets booked up pretty quickly. We'll do November and December because the holidays are important to everyone. And you can see every park is still available. So don't ever get into too much of a rush. Don't ever think you're too much behind the 8 ball, because at this point, December is still wide open. We're in August. You've got a couple months, but December is still wide open. So let's go back into the app. We talked about having the people in there. We talked about purchasing them. You're going to link the tickets to each person, so that way they're all set and ready to go. That is what's going to enable you to do Lightning Lane and get your virtual queue stuff all ready to go. So on the day of going to Epcot, for example, if you're going to go ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at 7 a.m., you're able to go into this app, and I'm going to actually show you right where that's at. And you can go to the virtual queue and join virtual queue. And if, of course, if you've got a reservation, it will allow you to proceed past this. I don't, so this is as far as it goes. But I can click on there and say, join virtual queue, and it will then take my whole group, and it's going to ask who's in my group, and it will put them all into the virtual queue, hopefully. The virtual queue tickets do get eaten up pretty quickly. So you want to be on there right at 7 a.m. If you're at 7:01, you're probably going to miss it. But they do have a second time at 1 p.m. And the best part about this, and this is the biggest downside to park hopping, is virtual queue opens a second time at 1 p.m., but you have to be in the park to claim it. So you can't be at Magic Kingdom trying to claim a virtual queue for Epcot if you're going to hop over there at 2. You actually have to be in the park. And the challenge is at 1, you're not allowed into the park. So the only people that are allowed to get into the virtual queue are people that had a park reservation for that park on that day, which actually I think is fair. That makes it better for the people that actually had the reservation for that park, that they get an opportunity to get that. But we'll talk about that more on a different episode and what that all looks like and how that works. But that is the one big disadvantage of park hopping, is you cannot join a virtual queue as you go across. The other thing that I love about Disney is I love actually a few different things. Number one is Magic Bands. So with Magic Bands, you can buy those online. Once they come to the house, you can then, there's instructions with them, or you can look it up online. You can link them in here by adding them to your passes, and you can link them to each person individually. So whether it's your kid has the Toy Story one and you've got a Mickey one, or my wife and I like the one that has the food on it, you can link those to a specific person. So that way they know when they go in and out that, that they can always use that then going forward. Park tickets from the past, if they're still linked to the people, still work as long as you buy a new admission. Those Magic Bands always work. So I really like that. It makes it more convenient. It makes it a little more personalized. And actually having a band on your wrist is a little bit easier getting around the parks, especially if you're going to do Lightning Lane. So again, we'll talk about that on another episode. I love that. The other thing that I love about Disney's park passes, if you have an Apple Watch, if you are an Apple user, you can add them to your wallet and add them to your Apple Watch. That's what we use. So case in point, here's mine. And I'm going to pull it up right here. And I don't know if you guys can see that or if it's in focus, but I've got my annual pass right there with my Mickey on it. And I use my watch to get in and out of the parks and to do my Lightning Lane or virtual queues. And I use it for Apple Pay. I use it for everything. So that's a real convenient feature. So now I don't have to wear a Magic Band or carry a pass anymore. I can actually use just my watch or my phone. So that makes it real easy. The last thing, and this is exclusive to Orlando only, is they do have the ticketing center at Disney Springs. Like we talked about earlier in the episode, if you are a Florida resident, you are going to want to make a visit down there to that ticketing center and get everything squared away before your first day at the parks. Most people don't arrive at 7 a.m. and jet over to the parks from the airport. They're too busy. They need to go to the hotel, drop off their stuff. They're probably a little bit tired from traveling, especially if they took a red eye. They're probably worn out. They need to get things done. They may want to do the pool. That's the day you want to go to Disney Springs. That's what we do every single time. So our day of arrival, we try to get in earlier in the day. Even if we get in late in the day, like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, we will then immediately go to the hotel, drop our stuff off, get all checked in, get ready to go. And we head over to Disney Springs to go check out the stores, check out the restaurants, have some fun. And especially in this case now, since we are residents, we always head over to that ticket center and get all that stuff squared away so that we're ready to hit the parks the next day or whatever day we're going. So I think that's the best. Now in California, the alternative is they don't have a ticket center, but downtown Disney is so close to the parks. It's right there. It's within a couple hundred yards. You can walk over to a ticket booth. So we encourage you, if you're in California and you need to get things squared away, or you need to get your actual physical tickets, if you want to get actual physical tickets, walk over to one of those kiosks, get it taken care of on the day of arrival. Go check out downtown Disney if you're in Anaheim. Have some fun. eat some dinner, and just get all that stuff squared away so you don't have to worry about it in the future, and you can walk right in after that. So those are our quick little tips and tricks there. Now, we're going to jump over to Universal. Universal unanimously makes this easier. Okay, so let's take a look first at their tickets that they've got here, and I'm going to move my little picture here. You've got the 3 parks in Orlando: Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay, which is their water park. You can buy them from just for one day for about the same price as a Disney ticket. You can also, if you come down here on the page, you can look at 2 parks. Instead of doing at Disney, you can buy all 4 parks together. You can buy the 2 parks together at Universal as well. That's $79 per day. So you get a drop off, a steep drop off. Let me take that a step further and even say Universal, you go to 3 days or 4 days at Universal, the drop off on price is astronomical, to the point where you're getting days for free. So they definitely want you on site over there, but there are only 2 parks. But you can get 2 parks for $79 per day. Or you can even, if you come a little further down or dig in a little further, you can do park to park. So kind of like park hopper at Disney World. Now, the biggest difference at Universal is it is a lot more expensive. It is about $180, $190, I think, a day to do park hopping. And that is per day. Where Disney, you only pay that extra $60 or $65 once. At Universal, you're paying it every single day because they want to make it more expensive. The reason is most people, if they move very quickly, can do both parks in a single day. If you get into the parks at Rope Drop, you go after the rides you want to ride, you get those all done, and then you hop over to the other one around midday or early afternoon and you stay late, you can knock out both parks in one day. So because of that, Universal's taking advantage of the fact that most people only go there for one day and try to do that and do both parks, so their prices are a little bit higher. Okay, but what they do that makes it a lot easier is, and I'm going to pull this up for you. Let me go back into my app. You can go right into the app and you can just buy tickets just like you do with the Disney. Number of days visiting, you can see it defaults you to 3. You can select the 1. You can say how many adults, how many kids you have. You can toggle on and off if you are a Florida resident. Okay. And then you can apply that. And then it's going to ask you park to park. So you can see right here, adult ticket from $164 a day. And keep in mind, that's the from price. That's the base price. The child ticket from $159. You can do one park at $109 is the base. Let's go back up here and I'm going to do a park to park and I'm going to select a date. So here's where things start getting a little bit different between Universal and Disney. So Disney requires reservations. You have to have them. If you don't have the reservations, you don't get into the parks. So that is a very important tip. You want to make sure you always have your reservations. For Universal, they're going to ask you what day are you planning on going to the park, and it's going to put that on your ticket because that's the price it's going to charge you. Now, let's say you decide to go a different day when you're out there. You can totally do that. I would still recommend go to the ticketing kiosk and trade that in and upgrade it to a different day. They're going to have you pay the price difference. But at Universal, they do not have the same type of reservation system where you reach park capacity the same way that Disney does. Universal does reach park capacity on hot summer days or busy summer days when a lot of tourists are out there. But during like your school year, they don't, where Disney will every single day. So that is a big difference between the two. But here you can go through, you can pick your day, you can see how they're all priced differently. So again, if I go in October, my park to park, especially around that Columbus Indigenous Persons Day at the beginning of October, is over $200 for a park to park 1 day ticket. So much, much more expensive over there for that park to park ticket. But that's probably the only day that you're really going to need to do that. Again, once you go through, you are going to, in checkout, you're going to add people's names to those tickets. You can print them at home. You can get the tickets at the kiosks there right before you walk in. You can add them there on your phone. If you go down here to this little icon in the bottom, and I'll use my mouse to show you this wallet, they're down in there, and you can scan them to get into the parks that way. That's what we do, just to make it easier so that we're just using our phones. You can also add credit cards. You can do a Universal Pay, which is right here, highlighted up here, new in the app, Universal Pay. That's a new feature. So there's a lot of cool things you can do on their app now that are very different from Disney, but those are definitely all available to you through the app. And like I said, you can get your tickets and get that all squared away there. Let's go into season passes And I'm going to use two terms, season pass and annual pass. Though they all say APs, they refer to, when you're on site talking to somebody who works there, they refer to these first two columns as seasonal passes because blackout dates apply. And if you click in here, you can see what those dates are, and they're very restrictive. Or you can get the preferred pass, which is what we have. And on the preferred pass, it's a unrestricted pass. You can use it any day of the year. However, you are restricted on early hour access. So you get that 1 hour early in July, and you can't do that. The Premier Pass over here gets you a couple more extras where you can park in VIP or valet parking, which valet, that sounds really cool. You pull up right next to the parks, they drop off your car, they go park it for you. It does fill up, so I recommend if you're going to do that, do it early. But you also get one pass to the Hollywood Horror Nights, which is their big annual event that sells out every single year. There's also exclusives with concerts and other things like that. Since our daughter's 11, we don't go for the Halloween Horror Nights. It is actually very intense. You've probably seen the rotating picture over here on the app that shows that. It's very intense. There's a lot of haunted houses. It's very scary. A lot of people jump out at you. We would wait till she's older to do that. But we do the preferred pass, and that also gets you free parking. And actually, let me state that for both Disney and Universal. All of their annual passes get you free parking. Do not discount. That adds up very quickly at $25 a day at a minimum. If you go 4 days at Disney, there's a $100 savings right there. All the annual passes give you discounts in the shops and in the restaurants. That adds up. We believe at this point we've saved over $1,000. And that's just within the last 4 or 5 months. So through all the parking that we've saved, through the dining that we've saved, the cost of buying merchandise in the stores and using our annual pass, we believe we've already saved over $1,000 there. So definitely worth it on that side. If you're a Florida resident, these prices are cheaper. This is the actual price for everyone, since most people are not in Florida. This is what you would pay if you're coming from New England or you're coming from the Midwest or the West Coast. When you're looking at these prices and you noticed that, hey, one day park hopper is about $200 in October, I will say it is probably worth it if you want to do this more than once or do a few days. It is probably worth it. I recommend it. You don't have to have reservations, which makes it a lot easier. You just walk into the park on the day you want to go, and you get all those discounts. Definitely something to consider, food for thought. Now, it is per person, but if you add it all up and you're going to go multiple times, it's definitely 100% worth it. We've gotten more than our money's worth because we went every weekend, because the Disney Pixie Pass didn't let us in on the weekends. So we went to Universal instead on the weekends and rode the coasters 1,000 times and had a great time. So that's how those passes work over there. Now, let's talk a little bit about, once you have your passes, dining. So this is where I think the challenges really start. It's not too difficult to get the park passes reserved and to get all those planned out and what days you're going to go. You probably already have your airline tickets booked. You probably already know when you're flying in and out. You know what days you want to go. We will have our next episode is going to be on crowd calendars and picking which parks to do on which days. So definitely tune into that. But if you already know what days you're going, at least the week you're going, then you can use those crowd calendars, pick what days you want to go to what parks. And now it's time to start thinking about dining. I want to reserve my dining when I'm out there. There are so many cool places to eat at both Disney and Universal. It's a completely different experience between the two. But we want to definitely educate you on what that looks like. So since I've got Universal pulled up, I'm going to start there because it's actually very easy and it's very much what you would do wherever you live today. Okay. So if you go into the dining tab here, you can see on the parks where all the restaurants are in quick service. Universal only has 4 sit-down restaurants, and the most coveted one is this one called Mythos, which is right there at that red rock. And Mythos is in the Atlantis area of, that's what we call it, of Islands of Adventure, the Atlantis. I know it's got other names. We just like to call it that. If you click in here, you can see when they're available. You can take a look at their menu. For reservations, you see that right there in the middle of your screen. It is suggested to get them, you have to call. So just like you would do today at maybe some restaurant in your neck of the woods, if you want to make a reservation, you pick up the phone and call. You have a 6-month window. So you're able to do that 6 months in advance. And I always recommend do your reservations for your dining. It makes things a lot easier. Now I'm going to back out of this and I'm going to jump back over into the Disney app. But before I show you Disney, outside of Universal, the parks, so Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, like I said, there's only 4 restaurants that have reservations that actually do dining, and you can look those all up online. Again, Mythos is the top rated one. At City Walk, you've got dozens. You've got Margaritaville. You've got our favorite, which is the Toothsome Chocolate Emporium. You've got Hard Rock Cafe. You've got Cowfish, which actually we ate at last time. That's really good. You've got lots of restaurants out there at City Walk, Bubba Gump's, that you can eat at. And all of those allow reservations. When you go to do a reservation, you just want to go online, you can Google it, the Chocolate Emporium at Universal Orlando. And when you get to the site, again, phone number, or here for City Walk places, they do have online availability. So you can click online, you can go through and make those reservations. Again, 6 months out. It's that simple. Nobody gets any special treatment. Nobody gets anything different than you. You have 6 months to make those reservations. And I think at 6 months advance notice, you're probably pretty safe. So if you know exactly when you're going to go and where you want to eat, you can go online and do those reservations at City Walk or make the phone call to the right place and get that all squared away. We will talk food on a different episode, but I will say if you like desserts, Chocolate Emporium is probably one of the best places to go. So let's go back over to Disney, because Disney definitely does it different. With Disney, once you have your passes, you've got everything all squared away. Now you can go in and start making dining reservations. So you're going to click that little plus down there. You're going to then click check dining availability at the top. You're going to select your party size. So for us, it's usually 3. And you can see the calendar only lets me go out about 60 days. Okay. So I can only go out till mid-October. Disney will advertise that you can only make reservations 60 days in advance. That is true for almost everyone. Almost. Meaning there are people that do have the ability to get reservations further out than 60 days, whether they've got special membership, they pay for something that we are not aware of, or whatnot. They do have that ability. If you stay on resort, there is a tip and trick that you need to understand, and that is your 60-day window starts on the first day of your reservation. So for example, and this is perfect, I've got this pulled up because this is our fall break. We're flying out on the 15th of October, and we're hitting the parks this next week, the week of the 17th. If I'm flying out on the 15th of October and I check in on the 15th of October, I can now make my reservations for this entire week. 17th, 18th, 19th, even though those aren't highlighted, I can make my reservations because I'm at 60 days of my check-in. Disney does not advertise this. They do not tell anyone about this. So this is a key benefit of staying on resort is you get an extra window of how many ever days you're going, that the soon as you hit 60 days of your check-in day, you can start reserving dining for every day that you're there. Because of this, and I'm going to show you here, I'm going to click on October 15th. That's the furthest one out. And I'm going to just say I want to do dinner. And it's going to load for me here. And it's got a whole bunch of different options here. And I want to get that little filter back and see if I can't get that. One moment. It's not going to give it. There it is. I'm going to pick Epcot. The most coveted restaurant right now is Space 220. And I want you to see on the very furthest out day that I can get, I do not have the option for Space 220. These are alphabetical. It is not there. The reason is it's already reserved. It was reserved a week ago because everyone staying on resort was able to reserve through their entire time, which overlaps with this date, and they've already claimed it. And Space 220 being the most coveted restaurant that's out there, we've been there. It's very small. It only probably has, I'd say, maybe 50 tables in their total ballpark, and that's just an estimate. But because of that, it fills up very quickly. So it's a very tough reservation to get. So you want to definitely 60 days out. I tell you, go out first thing in the morning. Reservations open at 5:45 a.m. Eastern. You want to go out and you want to start reserving your restaurants. Okay. So for example, let me go back. Like I said, we are going that week of October. We fly out the 15th. We're out there the week of the 17th. I want to, in 2 days from now, I want to be up 5:45 a.m. Orlando time, Eastern, which is in Denver, 3:45 a.m. And I want to make sure that I am in there ready to click my reservations for every day that you go. So if you're going to go then on the Tuesday as well, you need to do that the next day. If you're going to go on Wednesday, you need to do it on the day after. You have to do it every single day. You want to get your dining reservations in. And I just showed you how to do that. Okay. So though they say it's 60 days out, it's not really the case, because if you're on resort, you do get the advantage of booking all the way through your vacation starting 60 days from the day that you check in. Okay. What we like to do, just a couple quick tips and tricks before we end this podcast for this week, is when we do reservations, we always aim for 3:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And the reason is, it's actually multiple reasons. Number one, that's usually when storms come through, so we're usually out of the way. Number two, a lot of people at that time of day, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you've got sun out there. It's peaking. Don't get me wrong, it peaked at noon, but it's still very hot. People are melting. People are tired. People are starting to wear down. The restaurants are less full, so you're able to get a little bit more attention, go get out of the heat and get into the AC. You're able to then eat at that time frame. And then when you come out, so when you're done eating, everyone else is trying to get in. So now the park's going to empty out a little bit. So you're going to get a little bit more time to ride rides. You're going to get through the queues a little bit quicker. So that's why we like eating then. Our I can do this all day tip of the week. We do have a big tip, and I'm going to come over here, and I didn't want it to be pulled up before, but I'm going to pull up mousedining.com. Mousedining.com is a website that I love. I have used it personally. That's actually how I got my Space 220 reservation, because there was no other way for me to get it. And this site enables you, and let me move my video here so you guys can see that a little bit better. It enables you to get alerts when Disney dining reservations become available. So you can search, like I said, the Space 220 is the most coveted one. And you can see you have the two options here. So Space 220, and it's going to tell you about their hours. And then you can view openings. You can set alerts. You can do all that kind of stuff. There are free tiers where you can just go set a couple alerts. There are paid tiers, which is what I did, and that's what I recommend, where you can set up, I think, like up to 50 alerts. So that way, if you're going to be there for a week, you can set alerts for lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner every single day. You can set up all different kinds of restaurants. So maybe I want to go to any of these three. I can set up 3 lunch alerts and 3 dinner alerts. And what's going to happen is then you're going to get a text when a reservation opens up. You need to be super fast. You've got to be watching your phone, watching your watch. The second that text comes in, you jump in there, you go in, you claim it, or you can go right into the app. And that's what I did, is I knew what it was. I launched the Disney app. I clicked plus, I clicked I want to add dining. I went right to the date, added my 3 people, went to Space 220, scrolled and found it. You would be surprised how many times I saw it and I clicked the number. And by the time I clicked the time, it said, sorry, this reservation is no longer available. But eventually I did get one. And it was on a day that we were there anyways, which worked out really well. And we were able to go into the restaurant, which was a really cool experience. So Mouse Dining is this great site that's going to take care of you. They're going to get you these text alerts and get you going. Now, for restaurants, like one of our favorite ones at Animal Kingdom is Tusker House, which has some of the best food we've ever had at Disney. And we'll talk about that on a different episode. When that reservation, they were all booked up. So when I did Mouse Dining and that popped up, I went in there. I was probably like 3 or 4 minutes after the text came. I was still able to get my reservation. So a lot of those other restaurants you'll be able to get within a couple minutes. The coveted ones, of course, are Space 220, Be Our Guest at Magic Kingdom, the Royal Table, the Cinderella Royal Table at Magic Kingdom, the Hollywood Brown Derby. There are a handful of other ones that are definitely on top, higher on the list, but you have a few extra minutes, like Tusker House. Tiffin's at Animal Kingdom's one that goes pretty quick. So check those out. Get reservations when you can. Use Mouse Dining if you did not get the one you want. On the Mouse Dining, a couple more tips on that are you can set your alerts now. You may be months out. Watch them. You're probably not going to get a lot of alerts between now and your travel time. Disney does require that if you're going to cancel your reservations, you do it 24 hours before your reserve time, or else they're going to charge you for your reservation. Meaning they're going to bill you what a normal ticket price is for all those people that you had on your ticket. So, because you do have to use a credit card to do it. So what you'll find is 24 hours before reservations, everyone starts dropping. So what happens is they reserved months ago, they set an alarm or a reminder saying, hey, reminder, tomorrow's the day we're doing this. If you want to cancel, you have to cancel now. But they'll go in and they'll cancel 24 hours before. So where you're going to see those reservations start popping up is 24 hours before. So the day before you go, so if Space 220 is where you want to go, the day before you go to Epcot, you need to have your phone in your hand all day ready to go, because you're going to start, you'll see 6 or 7 of them happen throughout the course of the day of people dropping reservations. And you want to be Johnny on the spot to click in there and get it so that you can go the next day. So that's going to be your best time to get them. We love mouse dining. Mouse dining is definitely a great way to secure those reservations. That is our I Can Do This tip of the day. So please go out there, check them out. Like I said, they do have free tiers, but the paid one's going to be better. You can do a whole lot more with it. If you had any tips or tricks today that you enjoyed or that worked well for you, please visit us on Patreon. We would love to have you as a regular subscriber there. But even if not, if you want to throw us a couple dollars, that keeps this podcast alive. I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we have a place in Orlando. We do rent it out through Vrbo, Airbnb, but I have a direct booking site, and that's in the notes on the podcast as well as on our Facebook page, so you can visit us there. On a future episode, like I said earlier today, we're going to talk about all these restaurants. We're going to talk about the Lightning Lane. We are going to talk about how to get the virtual queues. We're going to do all of that on another episode, so please click subscribe wherever you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube, and have a great day, a magical day, and we will talk to you later.